Hello and welcome to the Supernatural Track here at Continual. I'm your host, Gail C. Martin, and tonight we are talking about the must-watch episodes of season 3. It might have been a short season, but it was definitely a memorable season. So we're going to talk about our favorites. But first, let's let our wonderful panelists introduce themselves, starting with Carole.
Hi, I'm Carole Stokes. I started watching Supernatural in season 3. I started writing fanfic in 2012, and I'm a co-host of the podcast, So Get This, The Lore of Supernatural Fanfiction.
Very good. Samantha.
Hi, I'm Samantha Bryant. I'm an author. I write the Menopausal Superhero series, and I came very late to Supernatural. I didn't start watching it until it was over. I only just finished it last summer. Yeah.
There's never a wrong time to watch Supernatural.
I agree. I'm looking forward to a rewatch.
Just one?
Well, I can only look forward to one at a time.
That's true. Elektra?
I'm Elektra Hammond. I'm a writer and an editor, and I've been watching Supernatural since that very first episode aired. This is Oscar. He came to Supernatural later than I did, but he likes anything that I watch as long as I pet him while I watch it.
That makes sense to me. Anna?
I'm Anna Kensing. I started watching Supernatural pretty much from the very beginning. I don't know if I saw the very first episode, but I definitely started watching in the first season. Dabbled in some fanfic, took a brief break a little bit at some point when life got kind of in the way, came back to it, and have been pretty much obsessed ever since. I write queer romance, and I'm currently molesting my cat, who is just out of the frame, because she too, while coming late to Supernatural, will watch it with me. The dog, not a fan.
Okay. And I'm Gail C. Martin and Morgan Bryce. As Gail, I write epic and urban fantasy. As Morgan, I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romance, but all my modern worlds are ones Sam and Dean could walk into and feel right at home. I fell in love with Supernatural halfway through season 11, binge watched the whole thing in 4 months so I'd be ready for the start of season 12, started reading fanfic, fell down the rabbit hole, and that's me, obsessed fan. And I have a small Maltese dog on my lap who is my panel puppy tonight. So you may catch a glimpse of him as we go. All right. So we're talking about our favorite episodes of season 3. Now, season 3 is shorter than it was intended. It's only 16 episodes because the past is like the present. They had a writer's strike. And there are all kinds of theories about where the season might have gone without that writer's strike. But we got what we got, and what we got is pretty fantastic. So start us out, Carole. What's your favorite episode from season 3?
There are just some really, really great ones, but I'm diving right in, and I'm going for a very Supernatural Christmas.
Of course you are.
I gotta. It's just so wonderful. So much good, juicy stuff here, including the first time we have flashbacks of Sam and Dean as children, where John has left them in a hotel room, told, that what is Dean, 8 at this point? Watch your brother. And it's just, it might not be the first flashbacks, but it is flashbacks, and we get to see them, and it's just wonderful. Sam finds out the truth. He's read Dad's journal. We see them, struggling by themselves because John Winchester's A+ parenting. I have to get that in for Melissa because she's not joining us tonight. And in the meantime, we have the real present story where Dean wants to do Christmas. He wants Christmas, and he wants everything. He wants, eggnog and Christmas trees and this, that, and the other thing. And Sam is the Grinch, going, why are we doing this? Our Christmases were horrible. Why are we doing this? What is going on? Well, Dean, of course, is dealing with, this is his last Christmas because his deal is drawing nigh and he really wants to do it. And in the end, Sam not only acquiesces, but surprises him when Dean returns to their crappy little motel room. And we have the bargain basement Christmas tree hung with the fishing buoys and the little pine tree air fresheners and the little banner and the eggnog that Jared, in fact, spiked in real life so that Jensen just about choked on it. But they kept that, and that's the take we see. Jensen's like, oh. It's just wonderful. The flashbacks, the actors they chose for those flashbacks are phenomenal. Of course, we have the quintessential young Sam, Colin Ford. And, we see Dean doing his utmost as the big brother, including stealing Christmas presents from another house, only he didn't realize it was a girl. And teases Sam that he really is a girl, and that's why he wanted Sapphire Barbie and the twirling baton with the glitter and the tassels. So beautifully written, fantastically acted, tons of humor when they are trying to sing a Christmas carol for the drunk old beat up Santa Claus that they originally think is the bad guy, and then they realize he's just an old drunk beat and high because he has like the 6-foot bong. So a lot of great humor, but poignant. And that final scene is a heartbreaker. Dean's like, what is going on? And Sam's like, it's Christmas, and he wants to give this to Dean. He loves Dean. This is what he can do for him. And it is just beautiful, beautiful. So it's a stellar, stellar episode. I could watch this, hundreds of times, and it's just still going to resonate and be enjoyable and tug at my heartstrings every single time.
Let's point out that Colin Ford comes back as young Cordell Walker in Walker, even though he's in his early 20s now, and the resemblance is still kind of uncanny. But he gets to play young Cordell because he played young Sam, and yeah, so just terrific casting there.
We also get the origin of Dean's amulet in this episode too, right?
Yes, we get the backstory. Yes, how does that amulet come to be? Why does it mean so much to him? Where did it come from? Yes, yeah, that's what I mean. There's so much in this episode that it's the gift that keeps on giving.
And the villains are just so delightful, like Marge and Edward Kerrigan, and they're like Father and Mama Christmas, except that they're pagan gods and gods of the solstice or whatever. Right. And they're just delightful. They're so hilarious and warm and Christmassy and
no
swearing.
No swearing. I say fudge. And they have every kitschy Christmas decoration you can think of.
I love them so much.
She's got the little sweaters and he's got the little vest and oh my God.
Pipe.
And if you watch part of it backwards, it looks like Sam and Dean are putting up a Christmas tree instead of knocking it over to get branches to stake the pagan gods.
It's one of those apex episodes.
We could stop recording here and just put this one up.
We could just keep talking because there's always more things. The way the fruitcake gets mushed underneath.
All right, on to you, Samantha.
So like Carole was saying, there's so much in this season that is like it laid groundwork that they really played on in the rest of the series. And so I think I always say when you ask me to pick a favorite, ask me again tomorrow and you get a different answer. But my favorite tonight is Mystery Spot. And I love the mixture of comedy and pathos in here. Like, you've got your Groundhog Day thing going on with the same day every day, but it's going to end tragically. But some of Dean's deaths are pretty darn hilarious, and Sam trying to stop him, doesn't help most of the time. And so I loved all that. And then this is I'm pretty darn sure this is the introduction of the trickster, right? Who, at first he's just the trickster, and then later we think he's Loki, and then later we find out he's Gabriel. And I'm not as deep into the lore of it as some other fans, so I haven't looked into, but I have wondered if just that actor was so incredibly charming that they just kept finding a way to bring him back into the story. And he kept changing who he was.
He came in last season, in season 2, Tall Tales. This was the second appearance.
Okay.
So says lore.
Yes.
And then the music in it too, that every morning it was heat of the moment. That was fun. And also another thing I love in that one is the kind of foreshadowing of that really dark montage with Sam, right? Like he wins, he gets past Tuesday, but then loses Dean on Wednesday. And we get this whole section of Sam without Dean going really dark and really loner and really scary, which is something we see at different points in the rest of the series. And I think it surprised me because up till this point, I kind of thought of Sam as the light in the relationship and Dean as the dark, that he was the edgier, grittier one. But we see that when Sam goes dark, it's very dark in there.
Yeah, when Dean loses Sam, Dean self-destructs. When Sam loses Dean, he burns down the world.
Yes.
Elektra.
And he lost him. I think I read it was 103 times in that episode.
Yeah. I love the way it pivots so precisely. We have this whole, it's awful that Dean keeps dying. And of course, it's taking a toll on Sam and everything. But like you said, so many of them are humorous, and it's like each one is this different permutation of what could happen in that same 10-minute, segment. But then it's like it goes to Wednesday and boom, we're in a whole different episode, from the light to this really intense thing. And the way it just does that in the blink of an eye is like amazing.
Yeah. Elektra.
Bad Day at Black Rock. I loved, well, first the whole going to Buffalo, which is the armpit of the world, to check out John's little haven of stuff and discovering, yep, it's there, and he touched it and then it's gone. And the whole chasing a rabbit's foot, which is lucky, except, well, yeah, now you're lucky for 10 minutes and now, well, you're not so lucky. And the antics of everybody through the episode that had the rabbit's foot, and the way they made that a thread through the whole episode, the two guys that stole it, who were so very lucky until they weren't. And, Bella, who knew not to touch it until, well, they made her touch it. And
that's the first time we meet Bella.
Yeah, this is the introduction of Bella, who is quite the foil for the boys. And she's distracting and sneaky when you don't expect her to be, and smart. And, they think, just when they think they've got her, they discover, well, they don't. Or she gave them, what they wanted and she left them the lottery tickets, or she left them the lottery tickets and took what they wanted, or it's always, you're never sure quite where you stand with Bella until she wants something from you. And then you know you're going to lose.
And in its usual and its amazingly accurate, predictive way, we also got Batman, because of course Jensen has been doing the voice for animated Batman, and like in Frontierland, when he introduces Sam as Ranger Walker, and he says he's a sheriff, and of course he goes off and plays Bo Arlen on Big Sky. Supernatural has this kind of weird way of predicting things, and we got Batman in that one. Anna?
Okay, so yeah, it's really hard because I really do think that season 3 is my favorite season of the whole seasons. So, but first I'm going to pick No Rest for the Wicked, which is the last episode when Dean does unfortunately die after, despite all of Sam's efforts to, undo the deal, cancel the deal, ruin the deal, fix the deal, evade the deal, whatever. Dean finally does die. The reason why I picked this one is because it has my absolute hands down 100% favorite exchange between the two of them of all time that I think just encapsulates the whole show. And it's the two of them, and they're sitting on, like the opposite of the motel beds, and they're kind of facing each other, but not really, because they don't really look directly at each other. They're sort of looking in the general direction, but like also off in the distance. And Dean says, all I'm saying, Sammy, all I'm saying is that you're my weak spot. You are, and I'm yours. So I have a friend who is a big fan of Supernatural, and she bought a poster with this exchange on it, and she sent it to me, and it's like hanging up over here on my wall. And also she's my weak spot too, and it's a whole thing. But then they go on, and Sam's like, you don't mean that, we're family. Dean says, I know, and those evil sons of bitches know it too. What we'll do for each other, how far we'll go, they're using it against us. And he says, when Sam says, what, we just stop looking out for each other? Dean says, no, we stop being martyrs, man. We stop spreading it for these demons. We take Ruby's knife. We go after Lilith our way, the way Dad taught us to. And if we go down, then we go down swinging. And Sam looks at him, and there's this like brotherly moment, and it's just so dramatic, and it's so poignant. And he looks at him, and he looks down, and he looks at him, and Dean says, so what do you think? And Sam says, I think you totally should have been Gemini the tiger right there.
There you go.
And Dean's like, man, I totally rehearsed that speech too. And he's all grumbly because he did totally rehearse that speech. And he's like, oh, bite me. And it's just like all of the things that is Supernatural, right? Like the pop culture references, the humor, the BM, the boy melodrama moments, like, and also just them being like siblings with each other, and they're just like poking at each other, and they know exactly where to poke to get a rise out of each other. And it's just it's the whole show wrapped up in these 12 lines right here.
Okay. I'm going to go for a Monster of the Week episode, which is Long Distance Call. It gets missed with the big ones in the season, the big ones that contribute to the arc in major ways, like the ones everybody's mentioned. But for a Monster of the Week episode, it holds up. I just rewatched it recently, and of course it's a crocata, and it's calling people from a phone exchange that hasn't been used in 100 years. And it's an old-fashioned phone number, like the kind that had letters at first for the exchange, and then a few numbers. And you're really set up to think one guy is the monster, and then it totally isn't him. And the crocata is calling people and trying to get them to off themselves, because that's how he absorbs their energy, and he can absorb them through the phone line, which is, kind of like every robocaller ever steals a little of your energy every time you answer the phone. But it's just a solid, spooky, creepy episode. And we kind of needed that in this season because the timer is running down on Dean's deal. There's so much tension with that. They've lost John, they've lost so much already. And it was nice to just get a Monster of the Week episode that gave us a little bit of breathing space so they could come back and clobber us with the last 2 episodes of the season, as they do. So back to you, Carole.
I still have some other favorites, but I've got to go with Justin Bello. I absolutely love that. Anybody who's ever watched me on any panel ever knows that I'm an enormous Victor Henriksen fan. I just love him. And this is such a great episode because he finally finds out it's all true. The monsters, the demons, everything. It's all true. Sam and Dean aren't psychopaths. They're not serial grave desecrators. They're the good guys and they're trying to save people. And his whole world, Henriksen's whole world just, does a 180 where he's like, oh my God, everything is now completely different. And it's not what I thought. And he's so focused that he's able to take this hit, take a breath, and then be like, how do we survive this? How are we going to get out of this? He moves right into like, what do we got to do? I'm there. We'll do it. He'll have, more of a breakdown later or something. He's like, what do we do? There are still humorous moments. You have the great moment where Dean's like, who says that you shot the sheriff? And Dean's like, but you didn't shoot I didn't shoot the deputy. It was, and then Sam just, of course, gives him a bitch face. That, little moments like that are hysterical. Great. And every time we see Henriksen, he's, Charles Malik Whitfield is just there. He's solid. He's in it. He's committed to it. And he's just always a joy to watch. I actually finally read that they did want him to recur more often, but he had, of course, now I can't think of it, but he had like other obligations and he couldn't do it, which is, our loss. So they killed him off, but he went out in a bang. And we have a great supporting performance from Nancy, the sweet little virgin secretary who has decided that in the end, maybe being a virgin isn't such a great deal. And so she's going to have a lot of sex when this is all over, except then the deputy looks at her and she's like, but not with you. And she's just marvelous. She's a wonderful, wonderful actress. And it's one of those things that Supernatural is so good at, where you just have this one-shot role, and yet they got somebody who just dug their teeth into it and made it completely into a fully fleshed person. We knew about Nancy. We felt for Nancy. We loved Nancy, and we were crushed when we knew Nancy went, so because of course we have that terrible moment. They've made it. They survived. Yes, there was casualties, but there they are. And Henriksen has even said, you guys are officially dead. So they have the burden of being hunted off their backs, and they leave. And then in comes this sweet little girl. And everybody goes boom. So wonderful episode as a standalone and in the arc, because this gives Ruby big time leverage when she comes in at the end and says, hey, my plan was the one with the low body count. You guys are the ones who messed up. And all of a sudden they have to look at her in a new light, that maybe she does have valuable things to offer them. It puts them in this whole different position with her and them. So it's just terrific episode. Always gets me at the end. I'm always like maybe this time it won't get blown up.
Maybe it's because I've been a mom and a teacher, but I always love evil children in stories. And they did the little girl who was Lilith sometimes during the story was amazing, wasn't she? She was just so cold, so cold. And I think that's what makes evil children so interesting, is because children are not generally cold.
Mhm. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So Samantha, how about you?
Oh, yes, I had picked one and then I fell into listening and forgot which one I picked. Oh, Ghost Facers.
Oh, of course.
Ghost Facers. Those are those boys, the Ghost Facer boys are some of my favorite recurring comedic moments. I enjoyed the whole conceit of the story of showing it through their show. So we were watching an episode of Ghost Facers that happened to have actual, supernatural stuff happening in it, and actual people who knew something about it because Sam and Dean stumble across them. And I liked the ghost story that we came up with for it. I'm fond of ghost stories, almost as fond as I am of evil children. And this was a good one, with the ghost coming back on the anniversary to get more victims for his party, and he was very creepy, the ghost. And then that poor intern boy,
Orbit.
thank you. I was like, it's not,
You
it's
go
not
be gay for that poor gay intern.
exactly. And he got to be kind of a hero. And then, and then they exploit the heck out of it on their show, just like that kind of show really would. The show that's all about reality TV vibes instead of about reality kinds of vibes. No actual pain, only play it pain. And then, they destroy the whole thing with the magnet at the end. And I was like, yep, they deserve that. They deserve it.
Menudo left their dance bag.
Elektra, how about you?
All right. How about Fresh Blood?
Mhm.
Fresh Blood gives us a lot of good vampire stuff, and we learn, well, first, just how mercenary and transactional Bela really is. I mean, she is willing to trade information for stuff of value with anybody, and she just doesn't care about anyone. We thought that maybe she had a sort of friendly thing going with the boys, maybe, and it was going to be a little bit here, a little bit there, and they were sort of frenemies, maybe. Not so much, no. And we've got a theme that we're going to see later of a vampire that's trying to make a lot more vampires in a hurry. And we've also got the introduction of Gordon the vampire hunter, who has decided, well, this isn't the first time we see Gordon. Sorry. This is the return of Gordon, who is still hell-bent on, we need to kill Sam no matter what. And I love Gordon. This was my I know he's been in other stuff. This was my introduction to Sterling K. Brown, and I love him to death. And it was a fun episode for me. I mean, it's bloodthirsty and there are vampires and fun stuff, but I just love seeing Gordon yet again go after the boys, and the interplay between him and Bella, each thinking they've gotten the best of the other, and him going after the boys, well, they're going after the vampires, and the back and forth. And the end of this is just nobody wins on this one.
Okay.
Well, and on the gore factor in that one, the barbed wire decapitation, man. Ooh.
Well, you use what you got,
Yeah, that's hardcore though.
I still don't know how Sam did that without gloves, without getting a whole lot of vamp juice in those cuts. I mean, gloves, man, gloves.
Yeah, it was The power of brotherly love.
I guess.
Anna, how about you?
Okay, so next I'm gonna pick Red Sky at Morning. I like ships. I like legends about ships. I love this Hand of Glory as an accursed occult object. I need to put that in a book sometime, I think. There's just so much camp in this one that's just so delightful. So the older Ms. Case, thank you very much, not Mrs., comes on to Sam and Dean makes fun of him for it. Dean hyperventilates when he thinks his car is stolen. There literally is the line, dude, where's my car? And so we get Bella back, right? Bella figures very prominently in this episode, and Sam asks her, how do you sleep at night? And she says, on silk sheets, naked, rolling in money. And Dean is thinking about that and imagining it. And yeah, putting a deposit into this bank, right? So, which just carries forward when they have to go to the gala that the older Ms. Case gets them into because she's Sam's date, and Bella and Dean are their friends. And they have to go to a fancy gala, and Dean has to dress up, and he's like uncomfortable in the tuxedo, and he descends this staircase like every scene that Hollywood has ever objectified a beautiful woman in the history of film. And it's a man. It's Jensen Ackles walking down the staircase in a tuxedo. And this actor just rolls with it, because this actor understands, I think, really like what it is to to be in a body that is so pretty that the world just can't do anything but stare at you. So Bella stares at him and is sort of blown away by him, takes a deep breath when he reaches the bottom of the staircase, and suggests that they should maybe have angry sex later. And Dean's expression goes from confusion, what does she mean, to more confusion, to wait, she said we should have sex, yeah, to wait, I don't like her, but sex, but don't objectify me. And then let's go. And then she's like, yeah, sure, let's go. And so she precedes him at the door, and he's like, I'm getting it tonight. And then he completely makes fun of Sam and Miss Chase, and how, poor Miss Chase is very enamored of Sam, who reminds her of her dead husband, who was also shy until they got below decks. And then she squeezes Sam's ass multiple times and describes him as being firm all over. And the whole thing is just like a lot of just turning some of the sort of like male gaze of women on its head with these two really pretty men. And then it's also just sort of an interesting mystery and about family relationships and family trauma and what families can do to each other. We find a little bit more about Bella, and it turns out that Bella's past is not quite as, good as she kind of puts out. And so it's just a really great episode, and it does, it ties into the arc, because at the end of it, Dean apologizes to Sam for, what his upcoming death is going to do to Sam, and he's really sorry about it. And Sam's like, dude, stop apologizing to me. I want you to understand that you are going to die. I want you to be real about this. I want you to stop pretending about this. Stop worrying about me and start worrying about yourself. And then again, lastly, sort of for the number of episodes where somebody drowns in a really nice bathtub, I don't know, it's a wonder that I take baths anymore after watching 15 seasons of Supernatural, but I do still like my...
Well, they say that the bathroom is the most dangerous room in the house. So, there are lots of reasons why. I'm going to go with Time Is on My Side. It's another monster of the week. It really reaches back to Supernatural's horror roots. And this is Sam being desperate to get Dean out of his deal. The clock is almost run out. Sam will take anything, any kind of dark magic. He's putting all his previous objections to the side. He'll do anything to save Dean. And he finds out about this possible spell for immortality, and this doctor who said that he had found a way to live forever. And Dean doesn't want to go with him, but knows Sam is going to run off without him if he doesn't. So they track down this doctor, and it turns out that the doctor is killing people for their parts, because part of immortality means that when your body parts wear out, you have to go get replacements. And he's not sourcing them from, organ donors. So he's finding people that have something that he thinks will match, I guess, and killing them, and then taking, whether it's skin or the guy looks like a patchwork by the time we see him. And it's clear that he's been doing this for quite a while. And even then, even in the horror of seeing this guy the way he is, Sam doesn't immediately recoil. Sam is there like, okay, we can make this work. We could ethically source. We could do this.
Oh, totally.
Dean, we could totally do this. And Dean's the one who just recoils and says, no, this isn't worth it. This is terrible. And they really end up doing a number on the doc, because since he can't die, they lock him in a refrigerator and then bury the refrigerator, and the guy's gonna live forever, which gives us, the Malik box all the way down in, season 14. We get shades of the Malik box. But I just love the tension in the episode, the old-fashioned horror in the episode. There is a fan fiction out there somewhere where they do go through with it. And Dean is starting to lose sight in one of his eyes, and Sam can't bear to lose Dean's beautiful green eyes. So he gives him one of his and replaces his eye, and gives Dean his eye, so that it kind of stays in the family. It's excellently written fan fiction, and I can't watch the episode without thinking about it, of the alternate universe.
You're gonna have to post the link to this.
I will try to
post
find
a link
it.
to
Yeah.
it.
It was a terrific episode, but the alternative of, well, what if they'd have gone through with it? All right, folks.
Another idea they reused, that
Mhm.
later they took this to the extreme and went to the Stein family.
Mm-hmm.
It's the immortality via pieces and parts.
Yep.
So, they tried some things out earlier in the series and decided, that was a good idea, but we just did not go far enough. Let's do it again and do it right this time.
Sometimes we could tell that the writers had actually watched the show, and other times not so much. All right, folks, one more lightning round here. Get in that last favorite before it's time to say goodbye. Carole?
Dream a little dream of me. Bobby's in a coma. We get to see him have to deal with his poor possessed wife. We get a little more on that backstory. Bella steals the Colt. So big plot twist machination there. We meet the African dream root, which became a tried and true weapon in their arsenal, the African dream root, where they could drink tea made of it with something from the person, and then be able to enter their dreams and talk with them, and so on and so forth. They used it several times, and in fanfic it's got a long and storied use. I mean, it's a great little plot device. Let's do the African dream root and go into their mind. So that was a real inspiration on their parts, and that's the first time we see it. And at the end of the episode, we finally have the first moment where Dean says, I don't want to die. Where all along he's been like, no, this is it. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. You know, I always knew I'd die young and pretty, whatever. But he finally realizes that he doesn't want to die, and not only realize it, but admits it to Sam, that this is not what he wants. He has a real terror-filled moment when he faces himself as a demon, another foreshadowing, and is horrified and realizes that's not what I want. So, you know, another one of those episodes that really packs a lot in, moves the arc along, but has great standalone elements, and also adds in all of these facets to things that will carry with us through. That, you know, we now understand how Bobby became a hunter and why he is so passionate about it. And we, you know, so really, really a terrific, solid episode.
Okay, Samantha.
I'll go with The Kids Are All Right with Ben, who supposedly is not Dean's son, for a boy who seemed so much like Dean's mini-me. I liked the changeling kind of story, and the creepy aspect with the neck thing that is not something I've seen in changeling stories before. But really it was about seeing Dean potentially having a son, and that little boy was such a great mini-me version. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, you know, we get some foreshadowing there too, because end of season 5,
Yes.
there we go. Elektra.
The Magnificent Seven. We pick up right after all hell breaks loose, and we've got to deal with demons out in the world, pissed off hunters. We get Bobby, we get Isaac and Tamara, who are really, really teed off. We meet the 7 deadly sins in the form of demons, and we get to try and fight them one at a time, figure out who they are, watch them kill people. We see through a whole town of really, you know, taking over people who are trying to fight. And we see just how bad season 3 is going to be with all those demons loose in the world, and how they're going to have to pull it together. And it's a really, really good, solid opener.
Okay, Anna.
Bedtime stories. I love fairy tales. I love fractured fairy tales. I love altered fairy tales, repurposed fairy tales. I like how, you know, like people take fairy tales and do their own spin on them. So I really liked the supernatural spin on this. It's got some good sibling rivalry to it. Dean also likes fractured and separate and repurposed fairy tales. He saw Snow White, the porn version. There was a wicked stepmother in it. There's some good sibling ribbing in this. They do sort of back away from the dude, can you be more gay sort of insults, you know, like in later seasons, because it's not really like ideal for, you know, people to be using gay as an insult. But this is 2007, and it's clearly like a sibling ribbing, you know, insulty kind of thing. Sam summons the Crossroads demon to try to get Dean out of the deal, and there's some taunting and some back and forth, and you know, whether or not she can or can't. She reveals that she's not the one who holds the contract, that she has a boss just like everybody else does, and that he holds the contract. It turns out that it's a she who holds the contract. It's Lilith. It's not. But anyway, and Sam shoots her anyway. Despite the fact that he got the information that he needed out of her, which is one, I think, of Sam's many, 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 many steps down the road toward setting Lilith free.
Okay, let me also point out that the actress who played that Crossroad demon was Jared's fiance at the time, and he shot her. And then, of course, we go forward to, you know, season 5, and he and Dean kill Ruby 2, who is the person he marries. So there's this unfortunate.
It's not just Sam's peen of death, it's also Jared's peen of death too.
Yes, that you know, he keeps killing the one that he's involved with in real life. So I'm not sure what to make of that. I'll say Malleus Maleficarum because it's got witches, and we know Dean hates witches and all those bodily fluids. And we get to see the coven taking its revenge on various people, and the boys are stalking their way through it. But we also get an insight into Ruby's background and Ruby having been a witch. And somebody brought up a fan theory that I thought was very credible between Ruby 1 and Ruby 2, that Ruby 2 never claims to be a witch. Ruby 1 was a witch. And Ruby 1 seemed to be genuinely trying to help them and died trying to help them. When she comes back as Ruby 2, she is much more, much murkier in her relationship with them. She's definitely manipulative. And there's a theory that Ruby was originally helping them. And then when that demon was expelled and died, Lilith brought back a new Ruby that was on board with a different plan. And Ruby 2 was Lilith's creation to stop the boys, but that there was a difference in agenda between Ruby 1 and Ruby 2. I can't swear to that. I haven't heard it from anybody in the writer's room, but I think it's a very credible theory, and it adds a lot to the characters.
I
Well,
think
folks,
that's a really interesting theory because Ruby 1 was clearly meant to be a substitute for Dean, right? Like she likes fast food and loud music, and you know, she's just sort of a like uncouth kind of personality, and Ruby 2 less so. And so that is an interesting theory that I can get on board with.
Yeah. Well, folks, as usual, we've blown through our time, and we've also blown through season 3. So before we wrap up, let's let everybody say where we can find you online. Carole.
I'm on Facebook, and you can find me in a lot of continual panels and on the continual group, also in the Supernatural TFWNC group. On Twitter, I am true_firesign10. I'm on Instagram as firesign10. All my stories are on AO3 under firesign10, mind the tags. And under the name Ellis Colton, I will be publishing my first male romance book later this year.
Awesome. Samantha.
I'm Samantha Bryant. I write the Menopausal Superhero series and short form horror. You can find me at samanthbryant.com, and on most social media, I'm Samantha B. Writer, just the letter B there in the middle.
Okay. Elektra.
I'm Elektra Hammond. You can find anything you want to find at untilmidnight.com. And I'm Elektra at wandering.shop on Mastodon.
Very good. Anna.
I'm Anna Kensing, at Anna Kensing or some variation of that on most social media sites, although I'm currently on a social media fast right now. So best place to find me is at my newsletter, annakensing.com. My website, annakensing.com, which will get you to my newsletter, which I do still participate in despite my social media fast right now.
And I'm pretty easy to find at gailzmartin.com, morganbryce.com. If you spell them right, you'll find me on all of my social media, and I'm on most everything. I do run the Supernatural TFWNC group here on Facebook. I'm a columnist for the Winchester Family Business, but most of all, you can find me here on Continual. So thank you so much to our wonderful, wonderful panelists. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. There will be more Supernatural coming up soon. So we'll see you online.